going to use those wisdoms when we become fully conscious again to make this entire reality that we now see, that'll then be fully conscious, to make it a better reality and allow ourselves to play a part in unfolding the divine plan throughout the rest of physicality. So that's our future mission. Our present mission is just to go through this shift as best as each one of us can, knowing there are beings in heaven and beings that are part of our physical space family that are here to help us move through that, and that we should never feel alone or upset or in fear about any of the various phenomena that are happening and will be happening around our planet.
Well, I just thought it was rather interesting when quite a while ago I realized that our moon was a base, but I just never. I realized that we created this base artificially, and it's pretty amazing to me that this moon does all that it does. I mean, it's been given a resonance pattern that mimics the real moon, and to think that this is also done on other planets throughout the universe is just incredible to me. It just literally takes me back to my chair, and you know what I mean. I'm thankful for this happening, of course, being that the real moons were plummeted to the Earth itself eons ago. And, this is just such a huge way to look at things and how our Creator has worked with our world. I mean, it's really, it's magnificent, and yet it's really an awe situation here. I mean, looking at this.
We have I don't mean to interrupt you, Tazz, but we have a caller online that has a comment for Sheldan.
Sure.
Go ahead.
Hi, Sheldan. This is Nanda. I just wanted to say again, everything I've heard from you from when I first read your book years ago till now makes so much sense, and I just appreciate it so much. And I have a question regarding Nasara and the fundings, and also healing. I remember how you were healed so much in your childhood by the Galactic family, and I'm wondering, is that available to us now?
Healings are available to us. It depends on how that fits in with your life contract. They follow that very closely. They do those things that are part of unfolding the life contract. So you have everybody, not just myself, not just you, but everybody has a very concise and very complex contract that is really it's more like based in energy than in words per se, but it's events. And so we have certain events that are supposed to happen during certain times, and so we just live out our life, and if, at certain points in that frame, if we're meant to be healed exactly, then that's what happens.
Can we ask for them to come and work with us if we feel like we have more to do here?
Sure. They are out there to be in divine service to each and every one of us.
And anything about the fundings and the Nasara being announced?
All I can say is they are close, and leave it at that.
Okay.
I'm not giving any specifics other than that myself, so I'm relaying to you what I've been told. So I don't have any special points other than I ask for things, and that's basically what I'm said, because they said dates are part of the need to be secret, so I just have to go with that, even though I would love to have had it happened yesterday or settle for it happening tomorrow. But I just have to go with that. Just know it's close. They are working very hard according to how to unfold this properly and divinely to make it all happen, so all of us get the reality that we are to have.
One more question about the photon belt and the 3 days of darkness. Is that still something we're going to experience?
No, we're not.
Okay.
That has all been changed.
All right.
All right. Thank you, caller. And there's another caller wanted to know if the way we have currency now, will that change?
If the way we have what?
Our currency. I mean, everyone's
our currency
in the world.
The currency will definitely change to the new currency systems. So you'll find out about that when the announcements are made.
Okay.
Okay. Let me just continue here. The last webinar you had was really great, and if people get a chance, you need to really go to Sheldan's website. It's paoweb.com, and really check it out. They have upcoming webinars every month, and it got me curious because you've talked about this several times. You talk about the South Pole is moving inward and the North Pole is spreading to the outside. So our planet itself is changing. And my comment would like to include here, is this being observed by our scientists at this time? And if so, are they shocked about it, or what's really happening? Can they really tell that this is in the works?
Well, what they are talking about mainly right now is they call it the polar shift, where the North Pole becomes the South Pole and the South Pole becomes the North Pole. But they've also noticed, as part of this shift, that the North Pole is moving southward and that the North Pole is moving northward, but mainly is moving inward. And this is one of the things that they discovered in phenomenon in the late 90s was, and have continued to see at Antarctica, is that the southern pole is actually moving inward more than just moving along the southern region. So there has to be something to change, because when there's a shift, and I'm just saying this shift is a shift not from a shift in polarity, but a shift in moving from a bipolar reality to a monopolar reality. In other words, one pole on the outside, one pole on the inside, is simply the fact that the fields of the Earth, gravity, etc., where you measure the magnetic field of the Earth, is massively declining. It continues to weaken every day. It's reaching levels where they know that such a shift has to happen pretty soon. So we are at the verge of that, which is just another sign of the great changes happening to our planet as well as the entire solar system. Everything that is happening to us is being mirrored by all the events happening on Mars, happening on Venus, and happening in all the other major planets throughout our solar system. So we are now seeing massive activity on Venus. We're seeing climate change and other things similar to what's happening on Earth on Mars. We are seeing vast changes in the magnetic fields on Jupiter and on Saturn and on all the other planets. So is science seeing that this particular reality is shifting into something else? Yes. Can they explain it in some way that sounds not strange to them? Because they do not want to admit yet, the massive people who run the mainstream of science, that there is indeed a shift going on. So they are attempting to come up with answers that look good to them, that the average person, because they don't have a background in science as great as they may have, will accept. But in reality, if you really start looking into these things, you start seeing that the various things they come up with as answers to what's going on do not really hold. So I would have to continue to say with what I've been said and told by the Galactics is where I will continue to say is what is going on, because there's too many anomalies associated with these changes to say that what is happening is the same as what happened in the past.
Okay, Sheldan, we have another caller that has a question. Caller on 628, you're on live with Sheldan.
Thank you so much. Mr. Sheldan Nidle, thank you so much for all your work. We love you. The question is, at which point do you think that, or have you been told that we are going to be put in the metamorphosis chambers?
Well, that will be, of course, after we have contact, after government changes and all that particular aspects of the scenario that I've talked about have happened. That's the last basic stage. So that could, with everything what were to go as on the maximum level of change, maybe in a couple of years or less, we'll have it.
Okay. Thank you.
Sheldan, I actually had a couple emails last evening that came in when they realized that we were going to be on air. And a gentleman asked, he said, could you please explain how we are to go into the inner Earth does our physical body actually go, or are we changed in some other energy, into some other energy for this transition?
Well, because the change has to be monitored physically, it requires that you have a device, a living device, that allows for those people who are doing the monitoring, both people that are spiritual people, in other words, angelics, as well as those that are physical angels, in other words, our space family, to come together in a place, which is where this chamber would be located in inner Earth, and actually do the final metamorphosis of us into fully conscious beings. It's a very complex and very tricky process that has to be done by those that have full access to the spiritual and physical aspects of who and what we are, which is what they're doing. So it has to happen in a place that allows all of them to come together and do this. So this is the last really stage of it, and you have to go there physically. So they will either teleport you down to that device or bring you down in a ship to where you've been assigned for this to happen, and then that final stage, that final step will occur. So we will do it physically. It's just for the answer.
We have another caller that has a question.
Well,
it's not.
Paula, Paula, let me just ask this one more question, okay? So will everyone on Earth go through the light chamber simultaneously for transformation?
Right.
Wanted to know. Okay.
It's
going to occur during the time frame when we're off the planetary surface, so that the planetary surface can be changed the way Gaia, Mother Earth, wants to have it changed. There's so much incredible and quick events that will happen, like monstrous-sized earthquakes, maybe 11 or 12 or something like that, 1,000 to 5,000 foot high tsunamis, all kinds of things, mountains rising and falling, lakes going up and down, disappearing, oceans traveling size, continents coming up. It's not a place where you can exist. It's just too many terrific things physically happening for you to be on the planet.
Okay. Caller 918, go ahead with your question.
Hi, Sheldon. Thanks for being here today. I live in Mount Shasta, California, and I was wondering about telos and also just what you're talking about now when we're transported to inner Earth for all the Earth changes. How does that relate to the new governments and the new world that we're creating? Are we going to come back out to the Earth after all these transformations and live on Gaia on the outer surface again?
Basically, as I've also been saying, when you become a fully conscious being, you see yourself as being a person who is part of unfolding of the divine plan for every planet and every aspect of physicality that exists. Your task is not to rebuild cities and places where they shouldn't have been in the first place, which is on the surface of our planet. You'll be an inner Earth. They have special zones throughout inner Earth that are designed for where people can live, which does not interfere at all with the natural ecosystems of inner Earth as well as the outer planets. So we'll be coming back, except for doing certain ceremonies to help maintain the planet, no.
Thanks.
Thank you.
And here's another question that I got. Will Iran close Strait of Hormuz oil route? And that's something that's taking place at the moment. Is there any ramifications of that?
Well, what's happening is both sides are throwing swords at one another, so to speak. They're rattling sabers. This has happened before in the history of the world. As for the straits actually being closed, no, it's not going to happen. It would start a world war. It's not permitted to start a world war right now. Basically, about 60% or more of all the oil in the world passes through those straits every day. If you try to close it down, think of the amount of navies and powers that would be required to do this. It's just not going to happen. No. It's just saber rattling. That's all it is. Don't get upset about it.
Okay.
We have another caller. Go ahead with your question.
Hi, Sheldon. Thanks for being on the call.
Sure.
And I was wondering if you have knowledge of, there's many people that think that the Maitreya Buddha has come